Hey guys, welcome to the show where we talk about everything marijuana, including some psychedelic stuff, which I guess isn't marijuana, but it's, adjacent. First story is a little bit of a confounding one. It's about the DEA, who is known for making drug busts. That's what they do. And they have released some statistics on the year 2021 with marijuana seizures, and it has again spiked, which is fascinating. So basically, a lot of the news stories around this story have been that it went way up from the year 2020. However, I feel like almost every single statistic, I've said this before, is not really trustworthy when you look at 2020 because it's such an anomaly of a year. So you have to go back a little bit. And even when going back to 2019, 2021 was still a big year for the DEA in terms of arrests and seizures of marijuana, which is weird. So in 2019, a little over 4 million plants were seized. In 2021, 5.5 million were seized. So it's a big jump there. And there's also a 32% jump in arrests. I've been trying to figure out exactly why this is. One thought is that there's just more illicit markets out there because they feel like they won't get busted because of the more lax general view of marijuana, and they realize that it's very lucrative to get into the marijuana business. So the fact that there's just a higher volume of the illicit market, along with the government, the DEA, busting the illicit market stronger because they feel like they kind of have this buffer period of having the legal market that they're not really touching. So they're not touching that, and then they're saying because we're not doing that, we can then bust the illicit, the illegal market more so. So I think those two factors, in my mind, is what's causing the DEA to be more strict and more intense with their seizures and arrests. But the fact that anybody's going to jail right now for marijuana is still frustrating. We're trying to get everybody out. There are like over 40,000 people in jail right now because of marijuana. So the fact that there are more people getting in there is a bummer. Second story is a controversial one, maybe, because California, there's a larger and larger group in California that's trying to get warning labels on marijuana saying that marijuana is dangerous. Here's actually some mock-ups of what the labels would look like. It says cannabis may contribute to mental health problems, including psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia. Risk is greatest for frequent users and when using products with high THC levels. I have no problem with that. I think I'm in the minority of marijuana enthusiasts who have no problem with that. I think there is a middle ground there. It's unfortunate to make this a binary issue where you say anybody who thinks that there is a problem with psychosis in marijuana then is against marijuana, and that's just not the case. There is, of course, very, very high THC products out there that are definitely going to be abused. They will have side effects from that, and especially some people prone to psychotic breaks. And you could say, as an argument, well, they were going to break anyway. They were going to become psychotic in some other fashion if it wasn't for the marijuana. And that's valid. But the fact that marijuana is helping push them in that direction is not a good look for marijuana, so I don't really think it's a great idea to kind of pair the two. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see if this gets through in California. I think it will because, we see this all the time on alcohol, we see it on nicotine products. So the fact that having this label, and again, a different conversation is if it even works, if it even helps people, but having this label on marijuana seems to me to be a good step. And finally, we'll finish off the show with an update on Colorado and psychedelics. So Colorado seems to be following in the footsteps almost exactly of Oregon, which in 2020, two ballot measures were passed. One was decriminalizing all drugs, and the other was creating a psilocybin therapy program that eventually, I think maybe next year, they're actually going to start to get out there. But Colorado is doing pretty much the same thing, except it's not decriminalizing all drugs like Oregon. It's decriminalizing just some entheogens, mainly like psilocybin, psilocin, ibogaine, mescaline, not peyote, because that one is a little bit controversial with the Native American tribes. So you would be able to kind of have your own mushrooms, basically. The other ballot would be creating a program around psilocybin that would be state regulated, and it would be legal, of course. These two ballot measures are still gaining signatures. I'm pretty confident that they're going to be able to gain these signatures, because I think most people are on the side of wanting this legal, especially in places like Colorado. And when we see things like this come to votes, they almost always go through because everyone's like, yes, that's great, that sounds great. So this will be cool. Looks like Colorado will be the second state to have a pretty beefy psychedelic program. And that's that. We'll be back next week because I'm going to Austin, Texas. We'll be back next week with some more stories. I'll see you then.